What would you do if you saw a young woman being dragged into a car against her will? Would you look away, pretend you didn't see, or would you risk everything, even your own safety, to stop it? This is the story of a single father who, in one ordinary afternoon, made a decision that would change not only his life, but the life of a complete stranger forever. Stay with me until the end, because the way this story unfolds will leave you with a message you'll never forget. Ethan had never thought of himself as a hero. He was just a man trying to keep life together for his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. A single dad for 3 years now, Ethan's life was a rhythm of early mornings, school runs, long shifts at the construction site, and late nights helping Lily with homework. His days were full, but his heart was fuller. Every sacrifice he made was for her. It was a warm Saturday afternoon when it happened. Ethan and Lily were driving home from the park, the car full of the smell of ice cream and the sound of Lily humming her favorite tune. They were approaching an intersection when Ethan's eyes caught something that didn't sit right. On the side of the road, near a black SUV with its back door open, 2 men were struggling with a young woman. She was kicking, crying out, her voice breaking with panic. "Let me go," she screamed. The men glanced nervously around, trying to shove her into the vehicle. Ethan's heart slammed against his chest. He knew what he was witnessing. This wasn't a lover's quarrel. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was wrong. It was dangerous. It was someone's life on the line. For a second, fear clawed at him. He had Lily in the back seat. What if these men were armed? What if he put his daughter in danger? The safer choice was to keep driving, to call the police later, and pray for the girl. But then Ethan looked into his rearview mirror. He saw Lily's wide, trusting eyes watching him. "Daddy?" she asked softly. "Why is that girl crying?" Something inside him snapped into place. He knew he could not let his daughter grow up believing it was okay to look away when someone needed help. Without thinking twice, Ethan slammed on the brakes, pulled his truck sideways across the road, and blocked the SUV from escaping. He jumped out, his heart pounding, adrenaline rushing through every vein. "Hey! Let her go," he shouted. The men froze, caught off guard by his sudden interference. One of them snarled, "Stay out of this, man. It's none of your business." But Ethan stood firm, fists clenched, every muscle trembling with both fear and determination. "It is my business," he growled. "You're not taking her anywhere." The young woman's tear-streaked face turned toward him, her eyes pleading, desperate. In that moment, Ethan wasn't just a stranger, he was her only chance. The men exchanged a glance, realizing Ethan wasn't backing down. One shoved the girl harder into the car, while the other began approaching Ethan, his hand reaching into his jacket. Ethan's stomach dropped. Was there a weapon? But he couldn't show fear. Behind him, Lily sat in the truck, clutching her stuffed bunny, watching her dad with terrified eyes. He needed to end this quickly. "Get in your car and drive away," the man hissed, now only a few feet from him. Instead, Ethan reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and dialed 911 on speaker so they could all hear the operator's voice. "This is 911, what's your emergency?" the dispatcher's voice rang out. Ethan locked eyes with the man. "You hear that? Police are on their way. If you don't want to spend the rest of your life in prison, you'll let her go, now." For a tense, breathless moment, time seemed frozen. The girl's muffled sobs filled the silence. Cars had started slowing down, drivers rubbernecking, some pulling over to record what was happening. The kidnappers realized they weren't invisible anymore. Finally, with a furious curse, the man shoved the young woman to the ground, scrambled back into the SUV, and the two sped off, swerving around Ethan's truck as they fled. Ethan rushed forward, helping the girl to her feet. She was shaking, her hands raw from the struggle, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you, I thought they were going to take me." Ethan's chest heaved as the adrenaline drained. "You're safe now. I've got you," he said gently. By the time the police arrived minutes later, the girl, her name was Maria, was finally able to breathe again. She told them how she'd been walking home from work when the men grabbed her. If not for Ethan, she would have been gone. When the officers took her statement, Maria turned to Ethan with tears in her eyes. "You didn't even know me. Why would you risk everything to help?" Ethan glanced back at his daughter, who was still peeking nervously from the truck window. He gave a small smile and said, "Because I want my little girl to grow up in a world where people help each other, not look away." Maria broke down, hugging him tightly, whispering, "You saved my life." As the flashing lights painted the road in red and blue, Ethan held his daughter's hand and realized something powerful. Being a father wasn't just about protecting his child, it was about teaching her what courage, compassion, and humanity truly meant. And that day, on an ordinary road, one single dad made an extraordinary choice. He showed his daughter, and all of us, that true bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Because sometimes, the difference between tragedy and hope is simply one person willing to stand in the way.